You know, I kind of figured that Lu going all Queen of the Universe would be sufficient to conquer her enemies. It wasn't. So instead we get Seal refining his blade style into Lord of Terror. Whatever that means. I honestly expected this class to enhance Seal somewhat, but no, not really. Lu gets both the combos. I mean, sure, there's some focus on Seal and the skills and abilities, but despite being a Seal class on the surface, there's really very little meat for him. So without thinking too much about what Craziac means when he says the word meat, let's distract ourselves with the next review, Dreadlord. Given that you need at least 13 boss drops, I can't say this quest is exactly phenomenal. It's not like this job quest is exactly great, but it's not terrible either. I can't exactly say whether it's better or worse than Noblesse's, simply because it's hard to compare their random elements fairly. So I guess that puts this in the average category as well. So, good news or bad news first? Bad news? Okay. To me, Dreadlord didn't get enough of an upgrade. It is better than Royal Guard, but it still feels like he's holding back. Like he could look so much cooler and just decided not to. What a tease. The good news is that there are some changes that I love. His blades are actually pretty sweet now, and the hairstyle he's rocking goes nicely with his ascot scarf style thingy. So, while I wouldn't say he's anything special, he certainly doesn't disappoint. Again, like Noblesse, Dreadlord has only 2 combos, so let's dive right in. Javelin switch. You can switch to Seal after using a javelin. So there's that. Claw charge. A combo for Lu. This lets Lu charge forward instead of finishing her basic quadruple X combo. Javelin switch is literally only good for filling the combo gauge. It disappoints otherwise. Claw charge isn't that great either. While it's good for maneuverability, the damage isn't that high. Craziac already has several maneuverable combos, even including some charges, so this one feels a little bit redundant. Hopefully the skills can make up for what I consider to be a disappointing couple of combos. Lord of Terror passive. This passive greatly amplifies the Creeping Terror system. It gives a chance for it to apply 2 stacks per hit, as well as increasing resistance against certain buffs and giving an increase in damage based on Burst of Terror, which is part of the original Creeping Terror passive. Aura of Terror passive. This pass modifies the 2 base level 15 aura buffs that Luciel has, and lets them give an additional buff that increases the chance of dark attribute activation, as well as reduced dark resistance on opponents. Force of Terror passive. This passive gives you a permanent boost to your critical damage, as well as giving Burst of Terror a chance to activate when combos or active skills are used on an opponent with maximum terror stacks. Threat of Terror passive. If Burst of Terror is triggered while this passive is equipped, then skill cooldown will be reduced, and you will also be granted a chance to not consume any Creeping Terror stacks applied to the enemy. Keep in mind that only one of Force of Terror and Threat of Terror can be chosen at once, and that Threat of Terror is locked. Level 45 special active, Dancing Blade for 100 MP, or Phantom Blade for 150 MP. Dancing Blade lets you slash through a group of targets, then use up additional, but decreased, mana to repeat the move 2 more times. Phantom Blade lets you dash at an enemy, then jump over them and slice downward upon them. If you miss, you get half your MP back. Level 50 active, Terror Absorption for 20 MP, or Shackling Chain for 35 MP. Terror Absorption absorbs back any Creeping Terror debuffs you put on enemies as MP, allowing you to recharge up to a total of 10 terror stacks. Shackling Chain lets you inflict bind on up to 5 enemies, then dash at them by tapping the skill key again. Level 55 special active Summon Darkness or Supreme Punishment, both for 200 MP. Summon Darkness literally summons darkness, like a shadow, that sticks behind you and repeatedly attacks enemies with various moves, appearing both physical and magical. Supreme Punishment rains blue energy from the sky, causing damage, and afflicts the ground with a damaging Land of Death. Level 65 Hyperactive, Descent Darkness for 300 MP. So, take Summon Darkness, add a little bit of awesome, then turn the whole damn thing red and blast everything within a radius to smithereens. That's Descent Darkness. So, Wolffang, Phantom Blade. Silly me confusing the two, right? Anyway, Phantom Blade is a pretty heavy hitter, so in terms of quick and dirty damage, I'd probably take that one. But if you're willing to spend 75 extra MP by extending Dancing Blade to its max, It will serve you well and you look stylish too. Terror Absorption I found finicky, and sometimes I would hit terror-stacked enemies without recovering an EMP. And Shackling Chain is handy and certainly has its uses in PvP, so honestly, I'd recommend taking this one for either kind of build. But you can't go wrong no matter which you pick of Summon Darkness or Supreme Punishment. I love both. It's just a matter of whether you prefer to make it rain death or have your own personal Shadow of Doom. I recommend taking Lord of Terror passive, of course. And if you have either of the Aura skills, then take Aura of Terror as well. As for Force and Threat of Terror, I honestly can't tell you which to take here. Personally, I'm taking Force of Terror because the critical damage boost is nice to have, and I often find that I end up stacking Terror past the maximum stat count anyway. I'm quite glad the Dreadlord's skill quality bar is high, because it's honestly necessary after the disappointing combo additions. I'm extremely happy to say that this class actually is very fair to both Lu and Seal. As Dreadlord levels up, he gets a decent skill set that lets him switch constantly back and forth with Lu, which powers the combination gauge and lets him unleash classics like Oblivion with relative ease. This means that the playstyle is both quick and powerful, and almost every move has some element of maneuverability to it, so you can get around your enemies quite easily. It all makes for a style which is actually remarkably nice to play. The Creeping Terror system is used throughout Dreadlord as well. It's the bread and butter of moves like Terror Absorption, and continues to be an effective way to power up moves like Apollyon. While I wouldn't go so far as to say adding the Creeping Terror system was a good idea, I still think it was a pretty slick system and does add to the character. The only thing that really irks me is that despite being a Seal-focused second job change, Seal gets no combo love, and he really feels neglected in Dreadlord's playstyle. I guess I should have just called it Dread Queen. All things considered, while I like Dreadlord, I'm a little bit underwhelmed. The lack of innovation in the combos irks me a bit, and while the skills do well to make up for this, the class just feels kind of incomplete. It's like it's waiting for something else to be added. I can't put my finger exactly on what though, especially considering the integration of terror system, combination system, and the variety of combos. Logically, it seems like the class has come to completion. It's more of a feeling than anything, perhaps due to the fact that I feel like each of Lu and Seal were upgraded separately, and Seal feels a little unloved. Either way, while I don't enjoy it as much as Noblesse, it's by no means weak. As long as you can avoid that weird feeling I have about it, you'll enjoy Dreadlord just fine. And there you have it. But with no news on Luciel's third job path, our focus is going to shift onto the character renewals happening in Korea right now. It might be a while before they come to North American servers, of course. So, until that happens, feel free to check out some of the other editorials or Let's Plays on the screen. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.